content generation. We did a poll towards the end of 2010 and talked and asked everybody, what's your biggest challenge with social media? And the number one thing that came back was generating content. How do I generate content that's going to be successful out there? So we're going to share some ideas about that, talk about maybe some approaches and how people can go about doing that better. Get some ideas from people about how they're approaching generating content. Participating, reading, talking, looking, posting, doing all these things, and why. We want to get to the bottom line of why and how can we track this and how come we're doing this on a regular basis. This morning, we get here at like 6 o'clock in the morning to set up, and we got done a little bit early, and there were three of us all talking, and I looked up, and all three or four of us were sitting there looking at our phones, looking at something up, having a conversation. I thought that was so funny that we're talking, but we're all looking at our devices for information. I think that you're gonna see that more and more as people are just using these devices. By 2012, more information is going to be consumed by your mobile device than through any other medium that you absorb things on, which should make for great driving out there, I think. And so we're all just getting bound to these things. So we're all kind of going through this transition and this change about how we look at these things. Some of the things that we've talked about in the past are control over the message. Who really controls the message of your brand right now? And businesses are losing that control. It's not in their control anymore. They've got to guide and influence instead of trying to say, this is what we have to say. You've got to do it with some more intention. And we're going to talk about that today through successful content generation. How are you going to generate content that engages people, that's valuable, that they'll listen to, that allows them to create your message the way you want it created for you? And I don't mean it in a sneaky way. I mean it in a very above the board, with intention. This is what you need to figure out what to do, and how do you go about doing that? And so we're going to talk about that today. Building of communities around your brand. We have to build these communities because it's going to be the only way to reach people going forward. We're gonna say that if it doesn't have relevancy, and if it's not aimed towards you, and if it doesn't provide value to you immediately, you're probably not consuming it anymore. You're going to say, oh, okay, this is the time where I go do this, or I look down, or I check my phone, or I do my tweets, or I don't know, whatever you do. Complete brand transparency. My gosh, I just keep hearing more and more and more about, hey, Jennifer, can you share your story when you were out to eat at Morton's the other night?
Good morning. So I was at Morton's on Saturday for Valentine's Day, and it was crazy busy, packed, and I realized why we don't go out on Valentine's Day anymore. So we checked in, and they said, great, way you checked in. I said, so do we go to the bar? Yeah, go to the bar. So we went and sat at the bar. Probably 10, 15 minutes went by. The bartender was just complaining, basically bitching about being there, and we still didn't have a drink. So I tweeted at Morton's, horrible service, bad start to the night. Went through the meal, the waitress stood up, we've got meat, we've got meat, we've got meat, and it was just like she could care less that we were there, and she certainly didn't want to be there. So by the end of the evening, the general manager came over, sat down, asked how our experience went. I asked, do you really want to know, or do you want it was great, thank you. And they said, no, I really want to know. So by the end of the evening, we ended up with another $150 gift certificate. I'm not sure, but Morton's did tweet me on Monday, which I thought was a little late considering it was Saturday evening, but I'm not sure if they were connected, but they did respond.
Yeah. So here's the premise of things and the way the world might change. You're sitting there at a restaurant, you're having a poor experience, and I'm going to say if this didn't happen directly, this is what is going to happen. Where you'll tweet about something, somebody at the organization is looking to see how things are going out there in the world in real time, and you might be able to get results. Amazing, and what a fundamental change where I don't need to say anything to my waitress who I don't necessarily believe cares about what I have to say. I can go straight up to somebody who is going to take care of it. I've even heard stories lately about people that have called customer service. Customer service says, I can't do anything, I can't do anything, I can't do anything, tweet about it, and they get put through to a special customer service that actually has some authority and who cares and says, oh my gosh, this is going out there to the world, we better care about it. And what a fundamental change. And what does that mean to businesses, and how do they need to listen, and how could they possibly keep up with these sorts of things, and what's that going to demand? So everything is real time, on demand, has to happen. We've got to pay attention. We have to listen. Kind of phenomenal change that's taking place. Multiple different channels of communication. We no longer can just say, hey, let's listen on a single channel, or let's put content out there on a single channel. We just talked about on demand. That is truly on demand. I'm waiting for my meal and I'm saying this sucks, and somebody's going to come up by the time my meal comes and say, what's the matter? Wow, that's kind of neat. And then need for business to communicate using social. Who in here finds content challenging to create? Okay? Who in here finds useful content challenging to create? And I think that's the big point of our conversation today. I think anybody can go out there and they can generate content. And this is why social media gets a bad rap. You know, when we're first talking to people, a lot of times they're like, well, it's just a bunch of crap, right? I don't want to read all of that. Why do I care? Where do these people get all this time to absorb all this stuff? And it's because, like with blogs and like with anything else out there in the world, 95% of it isn't done well. And so I'm hoping during our conversation today we'll have the ability to talk a little bit about what is good content. I'd like to get a few people's ideas actually on what they consider good content. What do you want to see when you're consuming social media? What are the key things that need to be in that content for you to say, yes, I will engage with it. Yes, I want to read it. Yeah, when I get that tweet or I see that somebody did something or they posted a new video, I'm inclined to watch. Humor. So humor might be a key element to what people look for. Is it gonna make me feel good? Something useful. Can you elaborate on useful? What might useful be?
I'm in insurance, so when I put stuff out there, I try and make it educational to the person. A lot of people don't even understand what's in their own policy, so we'll have little things break down what one little piece of coverage actually is, how it pertains to them, why they need it.
So how to do something better in your life, something that's important, something that you may not understand that I can help you do better. Jim.
I like it to be sincere.
Want it to be sincere. You don't want to be sold. You don't want it to be a come on. You want it to be a, hey, I'm doing something for you.
To build off that, before I got into social media and things, my background was in broadcast journalism, and we were taught, make the story meaningful on Main Street and be consistent. And I think that's what a lot of people are saying, but make it meaningful on your target's Main Street.
And you said something else also, meaningful and consistent, right? So if I'm always useful and humorous and meaningful, but I'm not consistent and I throw in random things every once in a while, I might be less inclined to always look at what you have to say.
We look for creative interpretation, the so what, if you will. It's nice to have the facts, but it's also better to have someone you trust say, this is why it matters.
How to use it. This is why it's important. Do this. Matt, can you, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Thought leadership or trends, what's coming up in the industry and what we should be looking at going forward.
So some sort of valuable insights, things that will help them do a better job.
Current for today.
Current.
For today. I don't care what's going to happen in 2 years.
Okay. So what do I need to do right now? That speaks to this on-demand sort of a thing. So we're talking about trends here, which might be what's important in 2 years, but you're also saying, hey, yeah, that's great. Nobody really knows. What do I need to do right this minute?
Well, yeah, because you can get futuristic kind of predictions, but it matters today what's going on.
Yeah, tell me what I need to do right now. And I would kind of say that people are getting more that way. Blah, 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 you know, and then, no, I need to know what it is.